So this is the crypto market on May 23rd. As you know, there was a massive, how should I say, dip in cryptocurrency. And the thing about it, this is what gets me. It's like all of those crypto gurus. Donovan Sharp on his channel, he's got these two guys. I don't even know their names because it really doesn't matter. And these dudes were coming out and these dudes were constantly saying, oh, yeah, Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000 before the summer's over. Now, this absolutely reminds me of back in 2018 when Bitcoin was approaching 19,000 before it stopped at 19,000 and it tumbled again about $5,000 or $6,000, and it lasted just that way until 2020 when the government started printing out welfare checks under the Trump administration in order to deal with the economic impact of COVID. And the thing that gets to me is the rhetoric was all the same. You've got all of these no-name, fake-ass gurus coming out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you're seeing all these goddamn ads on YouTube from Coinbase, and you're seeing all of these Bitcoin guru ads. They're not even worth naming. Oh, yeah, Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000 before the summer. Bob, yeah, we're projecting that Bitcoin just might hit $1 million before the end of January 2022. And I'm like, this is all speculation. It's like all of these cryptocurrencies. Well, see, and this is the thing that I hate. The problem is when I use that word crypto, I try to always get rid of the word currency. This shit is not a fucking currency. A currency is usually something that you use to transfer money, but there is always something hard backing it. For example, the US dollar. All of these people talking all this shit about the US dollar. Oh, yeah, it's going to crash. The US dollar's not shit. Oh, God, the government. Motherfuckers don't even know the meaning of the term inflation. Half you idiots don't know the term of the meaning stagflation. And I've explained it 100 times what stagflation is. Stagflation is when you have a high period of underemployment, a period of unemployment. You also have inflation working against you, and you have poorly targeted government programs. Now, most of these people don't even understand inflation. The money itself doesn't suffer from inflation. When you think inflation, you think that there's a bubble or a balloon, right? The money itself doesn't suffer from inflation. The products and the goods and services suffer from inflation. So that means that the price of something gets vastly inflated up until the bubble bursts and it pops. The money itself, the only thing that happens to your dollar is it either gains purchasing power or it loses purchasing power. But I'm arguing with fucking people on YouTube who are crypto gurus who don't know shit about economics except for what they may have read. And the sad thing is, it shows when you argue with them. The first thing they want to start doing is talking about the technology. They want to start talking about blockchain technology. Guess what? The people buying all of these cryptocurrencies, they don't give a fuck about the technology. What they're doing is they're speculating on the price by putting money in and trying to get rich. Oh, we going to the moon! We going to Pluto! We gonna put some money in Dogecoin. We gonna get rich. We all gonna get rich. Everybody put your money in. Diamond hands, diamond hands, diamond hands. How rich do you guys feel now? And you know what the thing that bothers me? I've been saying this for what, since 2018. And the thing about it is, to prove me wrong, everybody simply points at the fact that Elon Musk would throw $1.5 billion at it and a couple of companies would throw some money at it in order to make the value escalate beyond where it was before. So some people would say, oh, yeah, you're wrong. Bitcoin outperformed Square or Neo. And then you really look at it and you're like, wait a minute, no, it hasn't, especially when you factor in this crash. The shit was $60,000 for like what, a week? Not even. And now look where it is. Look where it is. 34,000. But then you know what's funny? All the crypto gurus, they just go silent. You don't hear shit. You can, if you listen carefully, you can hear my ceiling fan, but you don't hear them. Listen, you hear it? You can hear it, but you don't hear them. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Buy the dip, everybody. Listen, it's down now. Just buy the dip. Buy the dip, everybody. You got to put your money in. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. Where are they now? The dip just keeps on dipping. Now, I just want to have a moment of silence for the morons who took out PPP loans and rolled it into fucking cryptocurrency. And first of all, I want to have a moment of silence for all those morons who fraudulently borrowed money from the government in order to invest it in cryptocurrency. So I want to have a moment of silence for them. Next, I want to have a moment of silence for all the morons who used their credit cards and ended up buying Bitcoin when it was anywhere above $30,000 using their credit card and thought that they were going to the moon like $100,000 because they were promised $100,000. So I want to have a moment of silence for them. Then I want to have a moment of silence for all the idiots who thought that they could follow behind the footsteps of some others who did this early and bought mortgages on their house in order to invest in cryptocurrency while the shit was at a high. I want to have a moment of silence for them too. So I guess the only question I have is, when they commit suicide, what are they going to do? Are they going to hang themselves, throw themselves out windows, or shoot themselves in the head? I'm not really sure which method that they're going to use. However, whichever method that they choose to use to commit suicide, I just don't want them fucking up traffic for me because I enjoy being able to drive and coast at a good 80 miles an hour or higher. And I really don't want my commute in any way interrupted when you decide to go throw yourself to death himself. You know, I don't want you interrupting me, because when you interrupt me, it makes my commute a little bit more inconvenient. I don't like that. So you look at this market right now, the dip keeps on dipping. And the sad thing is, there were people who bought it. Like, they thought, oh yeah, Bitcoin's on sale. We're going to buy the dip, everybody. And they put their money into this shit. And they don't seem to get it. The only people who get rich off of Bitcoin are the people who got in really, 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 really early. The sad thing is, you try to convince people when you're a crypto guru that everybody's early, because they literally are trying to convince everybody that this bullshit is on the ground floor. Let me tell you something. The U.S. government, the government of China, the government of India, the government of Russia, the government of Turkey, whichever country you want to pick, no country is going to allow there to ever be a long-lasting payment transfer system that allows you to move money around without them either having their hand in it or knowing where all that money is coming from and where it's going. Now, you can try to continue to call me stupid. Oh, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. We're going to the moon. But guess what, guys? The simple fact is, we have transfer limits set around $10,000. You can't take $10,000 in cash on an airplane. They don't want drug transfer money. They don't want money laundering. They damn sure don't want tax evasion. They're never going to allow this shit to hit like 100,000. It's not going to happen. And by the way, the government itself owns thousands of Bitcoin. The government itself has a huge amount of Bitcoin. They're not worried about the losses because, listen, if they lose their money, all they're going to do is raise your fucking taxes. And you will pay it or you'll go to jail. And that's the bottom line. And there's no way to fight them. There's no way to fight the government. You can't. I mean, when those tax collectors come to you, that's it. There's nothing. There's no way to fight. No way to fight. So they're not worried about buying into cryptocurrency. The reason why they do it is because when it comes down to it, they can actually manipulate the price. So you're dealing with a rigged market. And now they're talking about doing, more regulation in cryptocurrency? It's like, I saw this back and I got the videos to prove it. I got the videos. I mean, I made the videos. I never erased any of them. I saw this coming a long time ago. I was like, wait a minute, the government's not going to tolerate this bullshit. They're going to fucking go in after you. And the sad thing is, you don't understand why the government allows you to put so much money into it. I've said this 100 times. When the government was printing all these goddamn welfare checks under Trump, and this bullshit, what is it, economic impact disparity loans or some shit, EIDL, whatever it is. Bottom line is, they knew that by printing all that money that they were going to end up causing inflation of goods and services. So what did they do? They simultaneously hyped up the cryptocurrency market on mainstream media. I want you to understand something. Before 2020, if you were making videos about cryptocurrency, YouTube was actually censoring your videos, and they were making it so that you couldn't even get your message out. But then there was a massive flip. 2020, all of a sudden they started letting you talk about this shit. You have no fucking background in economics or education or anything. And I was like, wait a minute. That must mean that the media is working with the government. Fox News talking about Bitcoin. What do? They always have the bulls on. They don't have the bears on. They may have like one bear, but the fucking host is bullish. And everybody they bring on, the guests are bullish. So everybody's pumping this bullshit. How the fuck did you get to MSNBC, CNBC, Fox News, and CNN all being bullish on Dogecoin? How the fuck did you allow them to sucker you? Let me explain something to you. Whenever you see Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN agree on anything, that's when you should worry. That's when you should worry. The real news, because these people are so goddamn fake, the real news is when they're fighting each other and they're trying to push their message beyond each other. That's the real news. When you see these motherfuckers agree, you know they're lying. That's when you know they're lying. I know it's counterintuitive. I know some of you weren't taught critical thinking in whatever bullshit high school you went to that allowed you to graduate with some degree that you didn't earn. But I need you to understand, most of us older folk, and I'm not a boomer, I'm a millennial because I was born in 81, we actually went to school where we were taught shit. We learned Roman numerals. We learned how to write our names in script and penmanship. We learned penmanship. Most of y'all can't even sign your goddamn names if you're young enough because they stopped teaching it. Half of y'all look at Roman numerals. I remember when some kids, I saw some kids asking for Christmas. They were asking for Grand Theft Auto IV. Poor bastards did not realize that the IV stood for 4 because they weren't taught in school. I can't blame the kids. I blame the school systems. I blame the parents. So I'm not calling you stupid per se, but, bottom line is, it's like when I went to school, we were forced to learn all that stuff. Y'all weren't. So when people my age, when we see patterns, and we're like, wait a minute, this bullshit has happened before. I know I've seen this before. It's like the thought of you getting rich quick, y'all ignore us because I'm gonna go to the moon on Dogecoin. I'm gonna buy Lamborghinis. I'm gonna buy myself a Tesla using Bitcoin. Don't you know Elon Musk? He's a genius. Elon Musk is a government subsidized tool. There is nothing that Elon Musk has done that NASA couldn't have done if the government weren't trying to underpay NASA in order to get rid of these unions. They're going after, look at this, they go after the USPS. There's nothing that the United States Postal Service can't do that Amazon and FedEx are doing. They would never allow USPS to be working on Sundays delivering shit. They would never allow them to be working 24/7. They would never allow them to be doing everything that Amazon and FedEx are doing. So that's the reason why it looks like USPS sucks. It's because of purposeful government underfunding. All of the money that you as a taxpayer are watching get spent. Because keep in mind, the government is spending $62,000 per second. Go ahead, do the math. $62,000 per second times the number of seconds in a year. I guarantee you're going to come out with close to $1.96 trillion. You know we're running multiple $trillion deficits in our budget, and you also know that we're on our way to $30 trillion worth of debt, national debt. You know that. So when you do the math, at first you hear the number, you're like, wait, they're spending $62,000 a second? And then it doesn't make sense. But as soon as you do the math, you're like, oh shit, they're spending more than $62,000 a second. If the government wasn't so anxious to give these corporations all this money, especially Elon Musk. And when I say government subsidized, I know there's always some Tesla fanboy who's going to jump up and defend them. But guess what? If you have special parking spaces for electric vehicles, and you have special driving lanes for electric vehicles, and you have special tax cuts for electric vehicles, and a $7,500 tax credit for electric vehicles, well, guess what's stupid? That's called welfare. That's what it's called. But I know you don't understand any of that because you're dumb and you barely graduated fucking high school. So I know you don't understand that. So I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm just going to call you stupid and keep on moving. Bottom line is, when somebody is dealing with money that's not theirs, they tend to make a lot of stupid decisions. See, me personally, I don't go whole hog on any of these bullshit speculative assets because I don't trust them. You know why I don't trust them? Because I'm dealing with money that I actually had to earn. When you actually have to earn something, it makes you treat it a little bit differently. You take fewer risks. And that's the thing that people who are buying into these cryptocurrencies and still spending their money to this day, even though they're watching the shit literally evaporate, the thing that they don't understand is that what you have to factor in when it comes to this crypto market is risk. And they have no idea what risk mitigation is. They don't know. Why would they know? They're buying a speculative asset that's got like the highest volatility of anything ever. You know, it's funny. People try to compare crypto to tulip mania, right? But guess what? Tulips have a use. Crypto has no use. At the end of the day, I can take some tulips and I can put them in a bouquet and I can give them to mom for mommy's day. I can give a bunch of tulips to mom for birthday. I can give them to my girlfriend for Mother's Day or her birthday. I could give it to her for fucking Christmas. I could take them on a date. Tulips have a value. Bitcoin does not. But you don't understand that because you're dumb. And it's not your fault. I blame the public school education system. That's who I blame. You're dumb. You don't read anything of value. You read bullshit and you think you know everything. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But the bottom line is you need to understand the difference between an investment and a speculative asset. Cryptocurrency in general is a speculative asset. It will never be currency simply because as soon as the electricity goes on, that's when it exists. As soon as the electricity turns off, it stops. It can't exist. You'll never be able to walk into a motherfucking deli and buy a sandwich on some motherfucking cryptocurrency. You can't do it. You can exchange your cryptocurrency for US dollars and buy your food or whatever. Like, for instance, we had here in New York, we had Hurricane Sandy, and I know people have had Hurricane Katrina, and I know people in Florida have experienced times when the electricity goes out, when goods and services are not functioning. In times like that, cryptocurrency it doesn't even exist. The fucking electricity's off. There's no way I can go buy some fuel or buy some food for my child when the electricity is fucking down in a disaster scenario. The US dollar will always have a hardened currency attached to it simply because of that right there. If right now I was actually in a Walmart where the power went off. And when the power went off, the first thing they did was they rushed to the doors to make sure that nobody tries to rush out. But the second thing they did is they just try to get you to be calm and stay there. And the issue ultimately comes down to if those computers ain't working, there ain't shit they can do. But if you're in a regular grocery store, their power could go out, but at least they can do exact change. Like they keep a calculator around, you can hand them a 20. Let's say you're buying something for $10, they can hand you a 10 back. Or if you're buying something for $19.58, they can hand you, 42 cents back. Can't do that shit with no fucking cryptocurrency. And that's the reason why that shit is a speculative asset. It will never be a real currency. And now here's the thing. Am I saying that the cryptocurrency does not have a future? No, I'm not saying that. The reason why is because most developing countries, and I've been to the Philippines, and Philippines is a perfect example of the reason why I believe that crypto does have a future as a money exchange device. Most of those people don't have access to banks. Most banks down there are fucked up to the point where you need 100 different types of identification, and it's not easy to do anything. It's difficult to get any official document down there. And it's sad because it makes it harder for those regular people to have even a job because it's hard for them to get the identification they need to have that job. The point is, even though banking is extraordinarily difficult for them to keep their money, cryptocurrency for these developing countries is actually easier for them to put some money in, possibly grow their money, and it's easy for them to make money transfers from and to other people. I do appreciate David Bond's channel because he actually shows you how they can spend money and live on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in Thailand. And I do appreciate his channel for that. But my problem is there's just too many unknown variables. But my thing is, I'm not talking to the people who want to use crypto for that legitimate purpose. I'm talking to people who think that they're going to speculate on cryptocurrency and suddenly they're going to be buying Lamborghinis next week. Hey guys, it's not going to happen. And I think it's time that you understood that. I'm looking at Ripple right now. Ripple passed $1. And it was funny because when I was watching Ripple, I was like, gee, how high is Ripple going to go? And I was actually making bets that Ripple wasn't going to get back to the $3 and something cents that it had finally made it up to about 2 years ago. Sure enough, that shit is fucking 69 cents right now. In fact, it went down since I started making this video. 69 cents. Stellar Lumens, 30 cents. It was like twice that a couple of days ago. What is it? Coinbase, and I will say this. Coinbase and Tesla basically really disappointed me. As you know, I was really bullish on Tesla. What I didn't know was that moron Musk would fucking tie the price of Tesla to the price of Bitcoin by buying $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. I didn't know that. And there was no way for me to know that somebody would do something that fucking stupid. And now he's underwater on his Bitcoin holdings. So no matter what anybody tells you, per SEC filings, Tesla is now underwater on the Bitcoin. Now, as you know, if you follow my channel long enough, I bet on Tesla back when Tesla was $30 a share. And I put some serious money into Tesla and I made some serious money. In fact, I've got the houses to prove it. And Tesla made me a lot of money. I was bullish on Tesla before they did the stock split, and I was telling people, get in there before they do the stock split. I know Tesla is going to be rising because they've got like multiple cars coming out. Here's the problem, though. Elon Musk has seriously fucked his stock over. You've got Michael Burry betting against Tesla and Bitcoin. And Michael Burry, you know, he was the guy from The Big Short, the guy with the one eye, the Dr. Michael Burry with the one eye, and he was autistic and shit. And he's up there like, wait a minute. These numbers don't make sense. And he brought the entire banking industry to its knees by holding a huge short position. So if you haven't seen The Big Short, you really should watch it. That movie is fabulous. It's fantastic. Bottom line is this. All of this that's happening now is absolute proof that you cannot predict this market, especially when you're dealing with government handing money to children and children spending that money haphazardly to, bet or speculate on the price of cryptocurrency. There's no way to accurately predict this market. So what do I do? I go to my fundamentals, and my fundamentals are blue chip dividend paying stock for the long run. If I hold over $200,000 in dividend paying stock and I continue to put money in there just little by little, not a whole lot, just little by little, Microsoft, Apple, now, I know a lot of people like FANG, like they like Facebook, this, that, and other. And originally, I wouldn't have put money in Facebook except for the fact that Oculus, they purchased a virtual reality company. And then you know that I recently bought an Oculus Quest 2. And as much as I fucking hate Facebook and as much as I fucking hate Zuckerberg, Zuckerberg's made me some money, so I can't really argue with him. I hate that bastard. And that's just what it is. But the simple fact is, I mean, long after he's gone, I'll still be a Facebook shareholder unless I sell it. But it pays a dividend. So it made me money. It pays a dividend. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So the bottom line is the airlines are still down right now. I told you all about oil. And I told y'all to get your money into that oil and them gas companies. Now, some of you listen. Some of you keep thanking me to this day. You're like, oh, John, big truck. Thank you for the TTI. Thank you for CPE. And I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that I made you some money on those things. But one thing you do know, yeah, I've kept you. I did my best to try to keep you away from this cryptocurrency shit. And the thing about it is now you're understanding why.